All right. We are live on Pulse Overtime. Hi, Brendan.
Hey, welcome everyone. Yeah, sorry about that, Anna. My screen was just off for a moment there, and I was like, what is she talking about? So, yeah, welcome everyone. It is Pulse Overtime. I'm excited. We do this every week where we take the whole real estate industry and try to make it simplified, right? We talk a lot about formula, we talk a lot about consistency, and it's not only real estate, we've been getting a lot of feedback that people are utilizing this for insurance and sales and interior design and individual product sales. So business is business, but every week we're going to be taking a deep dive. And I'm especially excited for this week because we get to talk about a couple of my favorite subjects, which is lead generation and lead conversion, which is always a challenge, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So I know we have people joining us live, and we'll say hi to them, and then of course, let's jump in and start getting some of these questions from our earlier power session answered. So what do we
Yeah.
got for this week?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this first one, I think to kick it off, and it's going to give a lot of context as we jump into lead generation strategies and lead generation follow up. So, Brennan, I love the show. I love everything that you bring to the table. Would you mind sharing your backstory? How did you get here? Where did you come from? Because I come from a small town in an unfortunate situation, and I'm doing everything I can to make real estate a legacy changer for my family. I'd love to know what your journey has been.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting question, but yeah. So I started out in a trailer park in southern Texas. My family was I wouldn't even say lower class. I would say, and I don't know if you're still allowed to say this, white trash. As best that I can. I don't know if that's woke. I don't know if you're allowed to say white trash or not, but that's how I referred to it. Yeah, and grew up in a trailer park called Pecan Mobile Home Park in Lake Jackson, Texas. And if you don't know where that's at, it's because you probably don't want to. It's a beautiful community next to the Dow chemical plant where they make things to clean your house with, more or less. So a lot of trailer parks there. It's and nothing against it. I'm sure there's nice parts too. I just didn't see them when I was there. Coming up through that, we moved when I was younger. I have an older brother who was disowned and went into the social service system for dealing drugs. When he's 5 years older than me, and after that happened, my family, my father was an alcoholic Vietnam veteran. My mom has always battled with mental health. After my brother was incarcerated, she kind of had a nervous breakdown and attempted to take her life multiple times. And I would go and visit her in the mental institution that she was in for a period of extended time. And then, so with all that ended, then I felt the only way for me to kind of get out of my situation was to get myself removed from the home. So I went into the social service system at age 11 and was in group homes, detention centers, juvenile boot camp programs, which, if you don't know what a juvenile boot camp, think of boot camp inside of a state prison with other criminals where they don't have them anymore. I think they got outlawed, where they try to beat into you not being a kid anymore, in a way. So from there, I went into a program called Third Way Center, and they helped me deal with a lot of things. And then emancipated, joined the army, and went on to serve in Iraq, in Kuwait, and the United States Infantry. And then from there, once I got out of the army, honorably, decided, met a girl and went down to Naples, Florida. Got a job as a at the Ritz Carlton Hotel Company, and that's where I definitely learned the value of mentors and leaders. I had an amazing leadership mentor there named John Timmerman, and he kind of took me under his wing, seeing that I was, as you would imagine, rough around the edges, coming from my world and Army and all of that. And the Ritz Carlton was a great company. They taught me a lot about, um, you know, how to be a gentleman. I don't even know if that's the right word of saying it, but how people should be treated, what core values are, what it means to be proud of where you work and what you do, and how you represent yourself. Probably was where I learned how to tie my first tie, which I think back
Mm.
on, which is kind of hilarious because I didn't have a father figure that was there to do that. So some of those simple things, just you're unequipped to know all those things, how to interact with people, how to make people feel special, right? One of the things I took from the Ritz is that I still use to this day is we make people feel special at scale, and if you do that, they'll keep coming back using your services over and over and over again. You don't do that, they have one bad experience, or they don't even remember the experience, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
And every Ritz Carlton is different. That's what I also think is fascinating. Because I've been to some Ritz Carltons and I'm like, is this just a really more expensive Marriott? So the Ritz Carlton that I worked at was a Ritz Carlton. It was an experience. They had high tea every day, and I mean it was movie stars in and out of it, and so that gave me a lot of understanding on how things should work, right? And how a great company operates. And so and then the journey to real estate, I got a call from a previous colonel that I worked with while I moved my way up through the Ritz Carlton. I started out a cabana boy supervisor, pool supervisor, ended up being the fitness center supervisor, which if you've ever supervised a fitness center at a large hotel, it's riveting. Then I went on to front desk and then overnight hotel manager before I received a call from a previous colonel that I worked with. And he said, "Hey, we're about to invade Iraq again to remove Saddam from power. And we need somebody with luxury hotel experience and wartime military experience." So went. At first, I was like, "You're crazy. I have no desire." I was like, "I have a nice job now, where I like wear a suit, and I have a coffee machine, and it's very lovely. And you want me to go and put my life in danger to basically run two different hotels, one in Kuwait, one in Iraq, so high-end Congress senators, foreign dignitaries could come in and out of the country to help fix things after Saddam was removed and after we invaded." So I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm good." And then he explained the compensation package, and I said, "I'm sorry, what was that number again?" And it was a number that, yeah, made me leave in less than 2 weeks. So,
Wow.
so I went and told
Wow.
everybody at the Ritz, yeah, and I was like, "You're never gonna believe this, but I have an opportunity to make a lot of tax-free money because I'll be in a war zone, and there's few people that have the resume that can do it, and so I'm out." And yeah, 2 weeks later, I was on a plane back to Kuwait City. I ran a hotel called the Safir Al Dana for 400 truck drivers, like actual truck drivers that were trucking all of the goods from Kuwait into Iraq, into the Green Zone, into other surrounding areas to support all the military. And for those that don't know, Halliburton is a massive company. They have subsidiaries called KBR, Keller Brown and Root. But basically, what Halliburton does is it does everything that supports the military, so that the military can focus on fighting. Right. So we build chow halls and places to sleep and camps and walls and
Wow.
toilets and all of those things. We also acquire properties, meaning that we would rent out properties owned by Iraqis and Kuwaitis, and say, "Look, we'll rent your whole hotel per month, and just rent the entire hotel." So I was managing close to about at one point about 1,500 individual rooms in Kuwait and Iraq, shuttling people between the two with convoys and all of that. So yeah, that was how I got into real estate. I did a year contract, came home, thought I would go into residential, or excuse me, thought I'd go into property management because it was kind of what I was doing in a weird way. And at that point, I just wasn't really prepared to go back to the hotel industry. I enjoyed it, but I just felt I wanted to, kind of be my own boss and not have to take orders, if you will. And then during real estate school, someone said that my instructor said that I spoke way too much and talked too much, and said that I should go into residential real estate and that I would hate property management. And that's how I got into real estate.
Wow,
So yeah, that was
quite the
an
journey.
11-minute, yeah, 11-minute instruction on how I got there. I got hired by a top producer at Coldwell Banker to be her assistant, and I took an apprenticeship and did everything under the sun for her to make her successful, and in turn learned how the business worked. That's how I got it.
So then let's just let's take it from assistant to a top producer to today. What happened and what were kind of the key secret sauces, especially as it pertains to lead gen early in your career when you said, okay, I'm done being the assistant, I'm ready to be that top producer. What made that path for you, and what kind of mindset or strategies did you live and breathe every single day to get there?
Well, I think one of the biggest strategies, Anna, and this is the challenge that I see with a lot of people, is there was nowhere else to go back to.
Mm,
And I'm happy everyone has beautiful families. I mean, when I say nobody, my parents' family is all trash. I haven't seen anybody since I was probably 11, right? I mean, not sent. I mean, I'm trying to think of the exact date, but I'm talking not a cousin, not a grandma, not a uncle, not a anything. And I know all of us can't do that, but if you could have the mindset that you could, I call it the mindset of burning the ships, right. We come here and we land on this island called real estate, and we burn the ships and there's no going back. What would you do differently, and how would you act every day? Because the only thing that I see that hurts so many people is this comfort, the comfort that if I don't succeed, my significant other will make up the difference. If I don't succeed, I can always go back and live with mom. If I don't succeed, I can always go back to working at, I was going to, XYZ jobs, Walmart,
right, right.
the car wash,
Yeah.
my comfortable job. And even not even those are terrible. I'm not saying terrible. Maybe there's nice jobs at Walmart. I'm sure there is. But some of these people had like good jobs, right? Let's say there's 70,000, 80,000 jobs, what I call comfort kill, right? Like you're so comfortable, it kills your desire to have anything that's extraordinary, right? So you're going, yeah, I'd rather just ski 50 times a year and I guess do software recruiting and make 70 grand and live in a 1-bedroom condo. That's a way of life. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. It's not what I wanted, not only for material things, but I looked at it going, how am I ever going to help anyone that went through what I went through if I'm making that kind of money? I felt that was selfish. A lot of times, this is the hidden fact about people. When you ask people how much they donate to charity that make 50 grand a year, you can't really do too much because you have to take care of yourself. And if you have a kids or dogs or any of this stuff, there is not a lot left over. So financial compensation and the freedom to have unlimited income, right? That was what I learned really quick from being an assistant, is watching a person that I was learning from have the ability to make unlimited amounts of money depending upon her commitment to do tasks that were extremely boring and at times made other people probably feel uncomfortable. And what I'm referring to, Anna, is meaning having someone hang up on her, or
Mm,
going on an appointment and doing everything you can and the people going, just don't like you, please leave. And just having to get to a place of living with, and some people use the word rejection, but living with this place of uncomfortableness where you feel like your self-esteem is being kicked in the teeth on a daily basis in the beginning until you build a muscle, right? And then you're laughing so much because you realize that the people that are the meanest, they have the really sad life, right? They're the ones that I feel the most sorry for. That if you're yelling at me for calling about you wanting to still sell your house because you picked the wrong agent or your nut job, why should I be upset that you're mad at me? You just are miserable. And so leveraging that motivation to move forward. But I really think you have to get to a mindset of there is nothing to go back to. If you can do that, I've seen so many agents that have had massive success, but comfort will kill
Cool.
the entrepreneur spirit. It just does, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So now that we've got kind of that mindset piece, what now would you give as advice for lead generation or lead follow up if you truly said, okay, I get the mindset, burn the ships. Now what? I show up to the office tomorrow and fill in the blank.
Yeah, you show up off the office tomorrow and you do a couple of things. You start, first of all, talking to the people that you know, right? So you make sure that what we call an ambassador, you get everybody on their touches first. You get everybody set up correctly. We have plenty of videos on our YouTube channel that talk through this in detail, I mean, and everywhere about how to do this. But I would take care of the people that I already know first. Now, if I don't have a large database there, then immediately we call it the top producer schedule. I'm going to spend the time on the people that are most likely to pay me, that are most likely to need to have services. I see agents every day because of comfort show up and make what I call weenie calls, right? Like these weenie calls where you're just being a weenie for the day, right? And you're just trying to call either old leads in the database or you're trying to call anyone that's not gonna to challenge you. And the people that are going to get you paid the quickest, of course, are people that already have to sell. Duh, right? Period. So if they already have to sell and there's a list of them every single day, of course, why would I not start there? But people will not do expireds. Our rookie of the year for our entire brokerage did one thing. He came from another state where he had success doing expireds, came here in his first year, became the rookie of the year in our market, doing the same thing, calling expireds. Not extremely overly magically talented, not a magician, not had no friends here, no database, nothing. Did that one thing, and everybody's like, "How'd you do it?" Called expireds every day and door knocked them. Yeah, it was, that's what I did, and that's it. Well, why'd you do it? Because they already need to sell, and there's a list of them every day. What else should I go and do?
Mm.
Right? It's
Yeah.
so stupid. It's common sense. But I ask everyone in our entire brokerage, let's say we have 300 agents in our brokerage. I go, how many people actually are running an expired program? You'll get two people maybe that raise their hand, and one of them is probably being honest. When I say program, not every other day I kind of do this or the other. Sometimes on the first of the month, I take a shot to see if I can hit a home run. No, it's got to be a program. And there's the technology that we have is so amazing that if you can leverage also some of the technology to tell you who's the most likely to do this, who's followed up here, your programs are all dialed in. But the worst case scenario, you don't necessarily need that. So that was the first understanding is I do expireds until I have not left a single stone unturned. And it still works to this day. People are like, but what about the do not call list? Follow it, do whatever your beliefs are. That's completely up to you. I will tell you, though, top agents across the country will still call that list going, if I do get, I'm not going to go to jail for calling it. If I get fined, I'm willing to pay the fine because I'm going to make 50 times what the fine is by calling it. Now, I'm not telling you to go do that, but I'm telling you what top elite agents across the country do. They are there's not you're not going to get handcuffs put on you for calling the do not call list. There's not a cop that's going to show up, right? You just get a fine, right? And that's what happens. So there's different pieces here that are happening, but if you don't want to have to deal with any of that, you could go door knock expireds every day, talk to people that just came off the market that need to sell, that were willing to pay a real estate professional to sell their home. You just won't get in the car and do it. So you can't be mad at anyone or coaching programs or anyone that's telling you to do anything if you're not getting the level of success you want. Do what others won't to have what others want. And then the biggest piece, Anna, the real schedule, when you're a new agent, Saturdays and Sundays are your Monday and Tuesday. You have to work when other people are off so that you can meet them. I don't want to talk to people that are at work. I want to be able to meet them when they're off. So I design my entire schedule around three key components: early mornings, late evenings, and weekends. You do that, you'll make so much money, it'll blow your mind. And then you can now build a database of people that will be willing to work with you during normal business hours, right? If you really want, to get away from working weekends, you're like, well, Susie's got soccer practice and all of this. I'm not saying you be a bad parent or a bad significant other, but what are you going to sacrifice for the first 12 months to make sure your family is set for the next 12 years? What are you going to sacrifice for the next 12 months to make sure that your family and legacy and charity is set for the next 12 to 24 to 40 years, depending on what age you are, right? I was always willing to put in that sacrifice because I knew the others wouldn't do it. Nothing made me more happy, Anna, when I would go to the office, and you've been there plenty of times with me, a Saturday, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Right now we're doing, different strategy sessions. We still do this stuff. It's not much has changed, but we're there on a Saturday, and you know who else is there? Nobody.
Yeah. Zero.
Zero. Maybe one or two. And for those that I know, I've seen you sometimes there, I'm saying it's a 1%. Right? They think for some reason the doors are locked on the weekends. Are hotels closed on the weekends? No. Restaurants? No. Why? Oh, it's because people are off and they go to them sometimes during those times. Weird. So if I want to do business and the majority of my business happens when people are off of normal 9 to 5 work, when should I work to take their money? Oh, the weekends.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a great question. And when you talk schedule, it's you've got to be ready. You've got to
Yeah.
be ready. And then the last part is we will fill our schedule with anything else that doesn't make us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So take the dog to the park, take this break, social media. I watch people get more mad about anything on earth about they'll take a listing, they'll spend 3 weeks marketing a listing. I go, what more are you going to do to it? Right? It's great for the sellers. It's already on 20 website, 2 million websites, 20 million people have access to it. They'll sit here, and as soon as they take one listing, they will spend the next 3 weeks trying to get that listing sold. That's what the other downfall is. As soon as we start getting a little business, we allow our schedule to change because we now think our job is facilitating a transaction. Our job is never facilitating a transaction. Our job is building great people around us that enjoy facilitating transactions, and we get paid to go on buyer and listing consultations and do it at a high level and convert those. My job, I hear people go, well, just no one can do an inspection negotiation like I can. I go, no, there's definitely people that can, because I know agents that do 100+ deals a year that don't negotiate their own inspections. They pay a TC to do it on their behalf. So they obviously know something you don't, right? Which is it's a transaction that there's just components to it. And I always ask people, Anna, so can you tell me what school of negotiation did you go to?
Right.
No one can negotiate like me. I'm like, okay, because, like, so we should go to like a flea market together? Like, what are you talking about? Right?
Hmm.
Right? Yeah, you can get better at the art of negotiation. Of course you can. That comes with a lot of experience, a lot of this. But I also know people that think they're the greatest negotiator on earth, and I couldn't stand having to do a deal with them, right? Their negotiation is I win, you lose method, and therefore they lose so many deals and do so much extra work because of their mindset. So these are the types of things we try to teach in our programs, but you have to be receptive to it. And sometimes you were taught a different way. Your parents told you something along the way that embedded something into your mind. Some of us are stuck with, Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. You never thought you wanted to exceed your family because of your relationship with money, right? Your stepdad makes a lot of money and he's an a hole, or your mom fights with her sister because your dad passed away and they're fighting over the money. I just heard this on with a friend of mine. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm fighting with my sister right now because she's trying to dot 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 dot." What are we talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like this is all things that are pre-programmed inside of us with our relationship with money. So burn the ships. Understand that you have an unlimited amount of income to make. You have to follow a model and utilize systems and techniques that'll definitely create a cheat code that'll help you get there quicker, but it's just consistency and rhythm. And if you really want to magnify that and kick it into turbo, do what the other people aren't working when the other people aren't working, and you'll make 10 times as much as everyone else, especially in the beginning.
Right. And I want to kind of, you said something about um, when you're kind of setting up that schedule, working when people are not. The other thing, and I think the true secret sauce is, and we've talked about this multiple times, everyone in the family needs to burn the ships as well. If we didn't have that conversation with our spouse of going, the conversation is changing, the schedule is changing, we're working on Saturdays, you have to have that collective buy-in, and you have to be honest with the people around you and set the expectations. So whether it's you have once a month where you meet with your spouse and go, so here's what it's going to look like, because oftentimes when you make that transition from corporate to entrepreneurial, there's ripple effects across the whole family, right? And that's okay, but you've got to be able to be honest and say, I'm working Saturdays, so that you can continue that cadence of success and everyone understands the top of the mountain that you're going for and they can be behind you. If you just go out and start working Saturdays, we're going to see some clashes. So you got to get the people around you bought into the vision so that you can execute the strategies you really need to.
I love that. Yeah, no one is saying there's a one right recipe. People are like, well, Brendan,
Right.
blah blah blah, and this and that, and you don't understand. And what if you don't want this and I want this? Cool. Do whatever you want. But the lie we keep telling ourselves, and we do tell ourselves this all the time, is I just want to be happy and make enough to just make sure my family is comfortable. You know what comfort really does to you? It means you can't go to a certain school and get the education that you probably want. Now, then people will go, well, they can get a scholarship. Yeah, let me screw my kid, right? Let me embed them into hoping that they have a 1% chance of getting a scholarship or whatever it might be. Well, maybe that'll motivate them. Maybe, maybe not, right? Then the second option that I obviously have is now I can bury them in debt for the rest of their life. So they're working in debt. So it's just all mindset and I guess philosophy of whatever you're trying to do. But there's a lot of good that can come out. People look at Gates and Buffett and all these people that have made an absorbent amount of money. They've helped an absorbent amount of people on a scale that the average person on humankind can never even do in a billion years over,
Right.
probably, right?
Right.
And so those are the cool things that can be done here. But yeah, I just think comfort is a killer. It is just a killer. And when I say comfort, it's not like working 70 hours a week. I'm still talking just working a normal 40, just working differently. And when I say comfort, I mean being fine with the ability to be uncomfortable about someone hurting your feelings, about someone not picking you, about someone not liking your marketing or your presentation. And then you get better and faster. So it's just comfort of going high rejection, high reward, low rejection, low reward. Which one do you want to do every day?
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, Brendan, I want to give a shout out to Desiree and Rudy who joined us today. Thank you so much. I know today was a lot of mindset, but I think oftentimes when we start a new quarter, when we're kind of turning that new chapter, we have to kind of reset. And yes, it's about the skill, but it's also how do you show up and how do you control how you show up in these moments. So thank you for sharing all of those strategies. Any last thoughts as we kind of close our time together?
Yeah, the last thought is you're going to constantly go through a series of emotions where the phone weighs 1,000 pounds each morning. You're going to constantly go through. Don't think that it's just going to be like magic, right? Even the best in the business have days where they don't feel like doing it. The one difference I've noticed from everyone I've ever interviewed, though, that's a top elite producer, their why they're doing it is so much more clear than others. You heard Anna talking about it today. This no is exactly what's going to lead to me accomplishing what's on my vision board, right?
Yeah.
So if your vision board is to own a cocker spaniel, and that's the highlight of the vision board, then that's fine. No one is questioning that or putting that down in any way. Then you don't need to be doing this. And that's also fine. And we're not saying cold calling. We're talking about people just won't even call their database and do all of
Right.
these things. But you're going to go through a discomfort. Even calling, for me, calling my database is more uncomfortable than calling strangers. I would rather call perfect strangers any day of the week than talk to people that actually know me. So you just have to realize that it's 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 okay to have those feelings. And the people that are more dialed in on going, okay, here comes that feeling. I know what I want in my why. Put that feeling over here because it's just a feeling. Focus on what I want in my why, and my family, and my legacy, and my church, and my philanthropy, and what I'm going to do, and pick up the phone and go to work,
Yeah.
right?
Feel the
And then go in
feeling, don't
sprints.
be the feeling.
Yeah, feel the
Yeah.
feeling, process it, and then work in sprints.
Move on.
Go,
Yep.
I'm going to start the egg timer. I got 45 minutes. I'm going to light it up. I'll take a break, and then I'm going to reset the timer for another 44. Sprint, sprint, sprint. Nothing can stop you. But just know you're not alone. You're not a weirdo. You're not undisciplined. I hear people all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm not disciplined enough for real estate. It's because
Right.
Brendan was in the Army. The Army did not teach me discipline. And I apologize to anyone out there that's been in the military. It did not teach me discipline. It taught me how to be more of a lunatic, probably in a lot of ways, because I was in a very interesting, part of the Army. But it made me not learn discipline. It made me know that the limits that we set on ourselves are so low that your mind and your body can take on a lot more than you think. It's just been conditioned to do less so far. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So that's what the Army taught us. You can break through all of that and do things you never thought was possible because you set the temperature too low at 65 degrees. And your body can and mind can go to 90, 95, 100. We've heard David Goggins and all these
Oh
others, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'll leave you with is just going, yeah, don't worry. You're not alone. You're not undisciplined. You just are trying to build this muscle, and so is everyone else, right? Just make sure you're clear on what you want. Otherwise, you won't want to do the work.
I
So,
love that.
on that note, we'll leave you to it. Have a lovely, wonderful week. We will see you this time, 11:30 Mountain Standard Time, in our Pulse Power Agent Facebook group or on YouTube, wherever you prefer to watch. And we will take any of your live stream questions. So, have a powerful week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah.